Megyn Kelly, the original mean girl on Fox News, is desperate to remain relevant. Newsflash, she's not. But you go, girl. The quintessential white girl and proud of it, Kelly was famous for saying notoriously stupid things about race, and then looking incredulous that black people had the audacity to complain. Well, Kelly went back to her stock in trade last night by saying something as stupid as she ever said on Fox News. We're going to take a look at her comments in just a second, but first, let's take a look at her greatest hits, starting with Santa Claus.
In Slate, they have a piece on .com. Santa Claus should not be a white man anymore. And when I saw this headline, I kind of laughed and I said, oh, this is so ridiculous. Yet another person claiming it's racist to have a white Santa. You know, and by the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa just is white, but this person is just arguing that maybe we should also have a black Santa. But, you know, Santa is what he is. And just so you know, we're just debating this because someone wrote about it, kids. Okay, just because it makes you feel uncomfortable doesn't mean it has to change. You know, I mean, Jesus was a white man, too. But, you know, it's like he was a historical figure. I mean, that's a verifiable fact, as is Santa. I just want the kids watching to know that. Yes. But my point is, how do you just revise it, you know, in the middle of the legacy of the story and change Santa from white to black?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. You know, you can't take facts and then try to change them to fit some sort of a political agenda or a sensitivity agenda.
Santa Claus is white? Jesus is white? What kind of Irish Catholic doesn't know any better than that? Only members of the
ignorant, tight-ass club.
Kelly's comments were so ignorant that embarrassed Catholic educators had to point out that Nicholas of Myra lived in Anatolia in the 4th century. So, not exactly a white dude. And Jesus? Seriously? A 1st century Palestinian? He would be about as white as your average Jordanian. The irony here, of course, is that Kelly criticizes others, read minorities, turning Santa Claus and Jesus into figures that are comfortable to them. Not long after she got off camera, somebody gave Kelly the facts about Nicholas. So she later went on the air and said this.
For me, the fact that an offhand jest I made during a segment about whether Santa should be replaced by a penguin has now become a national firestorm says two things. Race is still an incredibly volatile issue in this country, and Fox News and yours truly are big targets for many people.
Offhand jest? That was about as offhand a jest as Donald Trump commenting on Charlottesville and saying there are very good people on both sides. But what is truly masterful here is how Kelly, who can't stand the way minorities play the victim card, makes herself out to be the victim. Kelly was a master at playing white victimhood. Kelly's rise up the Fox ladder was her ability to say these things as a white woman, and thus perpetuating the myth that we live in a merit system. Kelly became irrelevant, though, the minute she stepped away from Fox and couldn't say these things anymore. So what did she learn from that? Absolutely nothing. Because last night during the Democratic convention, Kelly posted this on Twitter. LaFonza Butler speaking, she filled Feinstein's seat, celebrating that she and Harris both graduated from historically black colleges. Imagine the white person up there. I'm proud to tell you I went to a mostly white university. So now here's Megyn Kelly, a former Fox News host, so desperate for media attention that she basically just said, why is there a Black History Month and not a White History Month? Kelly was slammed by the Nation columnist Kaylee Holloway, who wrote, why historically did black people have to create their own institutions, Megyn? The Bulwark's Tim Miller expanded on that, posting, was there a period of time where white people were denied college access so they needed to create alternative institutions to combat systematic oppression? No, maybe that explains the difference. But the best response came from the election columnist for The Cut, Laura Bassett, who seemed to be channeling all those Catholic educators from years ago when she wrote, I beg you to read a history book. any normal American history book to understand the difference. Frankly, I don't really care if Megyn Kelly is really that ignorant or if she's just pandering to that segment of Americans who honestly believe their opportunity for economic security was taken from them and handed to minorities. Now, that makes you have to ignore the way in which wealth and opportunity in this country flows to the top and devastates the working and middle class no matter what your race. But Kelly plays into this myth of minorities getting over while whites are left behind. And that makes her nothing more than a modern day media plantation owner. She actually advances her own position from the continued marginalization and downright oppression of people of color. Although these days, is she really advancing? I think it's not. So, maybe there is hope. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.